What's up, guys? Mike in the Woods here, and today we're going to take a look at the Leatherman Sidekick multi-tool. You know the drill by now. We'll go over the pros, the cons, the specifications, and who I think might get a good use out of it. I bought my Leatherman Sidekick a few months ago to replace my Gerber Bear Grylls multi-tool after it finally having shit the bed after 5 years. First thing I noticed was how much smaller it was than my Gerber, even though they're the same form factor. The Sidekick is made almost entirely of the same uniform stainless steel. The bolts, the clips, the joints, the locking collets, everything seems to be made of the same material. It's also entirely devoid of any paint whatsoever, and any labeling on it is actually engraved right into the metal itself. I would have liked some labeling on the tools like my Gerber had, but that's really a personal preference nitpick. When you get the Sidekick, it comes with a nice nylon sheath, which is nice since a lot of multi-tool models, especially Leathermans, don't seem to come with one. The sheath seems well made, and the belt loop doesn't look like it's going to come apart easily, and the button clasp is a much better design choice than the crappy Velcro the Gerber sheath came with. It also comes with a steel carabiner, which is lightweight and also decently well made. It has a single hex nut tool and a bottle opener on it, which is handy. I've replaced the carabiner on my everyday carry bag with this since it's of much better quality. Aside from those initial impressions, let's dive into the actual specifications of the Sidekick as provided to us by Leatherman. The most important spec is, of course, the tools that the multi-tool comes with. And here's a list of the Sidekick's tools. It has a spring action set of needle nose pliers, spring action regular pliers, spring action wire cutters, wire stripper, 420 high carbon steel knife, 420 high carbon steel serrated knife, a saw, a ruler, a can opener, a bottle opener, a wood and metal file, a Phillips screwdriver, a medium flathead screwdriver, and a small flathead screwdriver. And aside from that, here's the other relevant specs. It clocks in at 249 grams for weight. It's 9.7 centimeters by 6.6 centimeters, or 3.8 inches by 2.6 inches. And the entire thing is made of 420 high carbon stainless steel and has a 25-year limited lifetime warranty. And for those of you that this matters to, it's manufactured in the United States. So moving on to what I like and don't like about the Sidekick. Now, when it comes to my reviews, I try to maintain a balanced perspective and come up with an equal number of pros and cons, and I think the Sidekick is a solid multi-tool and a good buy, but in my opinion there are a few flaws that I think are worth addressing. So I'll start off with the cons first and get them out of the way. Number 1, the belt clip was loose and rattly right out of the box. I've tried tightening it several times, but it comes loose again right away within 24 hours. Even though I don't use the belt clip. As I use the sheath instead of the clip, I might just take the belt clip off entirely, but for those who prefer to use the belt clip, this might be an issue. The second thing was the multi-tool is uncomfortable to firmly grasp and apply a lot of pressure to with my bare hands. As I am a programmer by trade, I have dainty princess hands, so I find it a lot more stressing on my hands than, say for example, the Gerber, which in my opinion was a lot more ergonomical to grip and apply force with. It's not uncommon for the Sidekick to leave indentations on my hand after I'm done using it. And the third thing, the can opener is very awkward to use. With other can openers I've used, it's pretty simple to get into the rhythm of opening the can, but with the Sidekick's can opener, it's just awkward to use, and I find myself frequently having to fix gaps in the lid where I missed a bit of it. Number 4, the tools inside are super annoying to get out. They require a fair amount of force to pull out with only a tiny wedge of steel free to use your finger to pull on it with. As well, even if you just want the one tool, all the other tools in there with it decide they want to come out and play too. So you have to push the rest of them back in once you manage to get the one you want out. Number 5, the multi-tool is near impossible to operate with one hand except for the exterior knife and saw. The tool is held together with a lot of friction, and while possible to open with one hand, you'll wind up with a lot of fiddling and wasted time. And then, as previously mentioned, there's the interior tools that are really difficult to get out. The effort required may dip as time goes on and the tool gets broken in, but right out of the box for the first few months, this has been my experience. Number 6, there is a flaw with the wire cutters, where the two halves do not meet perfectly together and leave a thin gap between them. This makes it impossible to cut all the way through wire without first bending it back and forth to break the last strand of material holding the two ends together, which may not leave as clean a cut as you were hoping. So, obviously there are things that I do like about the Leatherman Sidekick, so let's get into those. Number 1, it has a good selection of tools. I missed the scissors that my Gerber had, but I've never seen a multi-tool with a decent pair of scissors anyway, and anything the scissors were capable of can be done with the knife. The multi-tool offers a wide variety of tools for anything I might need in my everyday carry or camp activities, from screwing around with my electric skateboard to camp chores out in the backwoods. Number 2, other than the belt clip issue I mentioned earlier, the rest of the tool's construction is pretty strong and durable. After my Gerber died, the main worry was the locking collets, which seem much more durable on the Sidekick, and a part of the frame itself rather than a separate piece. I actually expect this tool to last me for at least a decade. Number 3, the knife is actually a really decent size. I think the type of blade is called a spay point, and please correct me on that as I'm not really an expert on blade types. In either case, it looks dirt easy to sharpen. And as a consequence of how it's attached to the frame, I don't think it can really take much lateral force before breaking, but for EDC and camp use, I think it's more than I'd ever need. Number 4, the tool itself is just the right size for me. It's light and small enough to keep on my belt for an EDC basis without it being uncomfortable, and frankly, to be honest, I don't even realize it's there half the time. However, it's also big enough to be used for more intensive tasks out in the backwoods while camping. And number 5, with all the tools in the Sidekick, it's easy to get the leverage you need and apply force. With the Gerber, a lot of the tools were awkward to use, especially the screwdrivers and scissors. I find this to be much less of a concern with the Sidekick, comfort notwithstanding. Alright, so now we consider who would get a good use out of this multi-tool. Honestly, for everyday carry, if you're an office worker and don't do much in the way of outdoors adventuring, it might be too meaty of a multi-tool. You can easily get away with something much lighter and smaller for urban EDC use and at a fraction of the cost. However, if you're like me and also take it out into the woods for various outdoors activities, I think it might be just the right tool you need. I personally think it's a good blend between EDC and camp needs, and honestly, when I do some backpacking trips in the coming year, this will probably be the only knife and tool I carry, except for a backup pocket knife. Same for firewood processing. I'll likely omit my folding saw entirely from my kit to shave off the extra weight and volume, and that's showing you how much trust I'm putting into this thing. Thanks for watching, guys. If you want to help out the channel, I'll leave an Amazon affiliate link to the Sidekick in the description below. As well, I'll leave a link to my YouTube playlist of other gear review videos that I've done. If you have any questions about the Leatherman Sidekick not covered in this review, please leave a comment below and I will answer it. As well, thanks in advance for hitting the subscribe and like buttons. It helps this channel grow as we continue our slow progress towards 1,000 subscribers. And I'll see you next week, guys.